This is Cruise Radio.
Cruise Radio is brought to you in part by tripinsurance.com. Travel insurance done right by the people who know travel insurance. Get a quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida.
This is
Cruise Radio. Cruise Radio.
Scott Lara and his wife just returned from their 41st wedding anniversary. First off, before we even jump in here, congratulations, man.
Doug, thank you very much. I will tell you, 41 years is a long time. Marty and I met here in Jacksonville, actually at a church. 2 grown kids, 3 grandkids. It's been quite a ride, but I will never do it again.
Were you in the military when you met?
That's correct. I am a U.S. Navy veteran. I was stationed at Mayport. I was a radarman, a Morrison FFG-13. And that's why I love cruising so much, brother, because I just love being out to sea.
So you're on Celebrity Equinox. It was a 7-night cruise over to Puerto Plata, San Juan, and St. Kitts. Now, before we jump into the ship itself and talk all about that, let's get some pre-cruise thoughts. Like, what made you want to take this sailing?
Well, I tell you, for all transparency, Doug, it was not a comp. It was not a travel agent rate, so I paid full boat, no pun intended. But the reason why we went, number one, is our anniversary, and number two, Celebrity has never had a ship out of Port Canaveral. And you and I are here in Jacksonville. It's only a 2.5-hour ride down 95 South, much better than going to Port Everglades when Marty and I were on the Celebrity Reflection a couple months ago. So a quick ride down there, and it just totally made sense.
Let me ask you about port parking space, because I'm the kind of person that, like, when I get off the ship, I just park in the garage and just want to get out of there because I don't want to wait in a line for a shuttle to get there or anything like that. How was that parking service? Because I've done, like, the Radisson one and a couple of other ones.
Yeah, that's a great question, Doug, because especially like Miami or other cruise ports, that line can be 7 miles long going into the parking garage and then trying to get out. It could be a real pain in the neck. So I've discovered port parking space down there in Port Canaveral. The number one reason I love them is because they have great military discounts. Mm-hmm. You pull in, hey, they even have EV charging. Okay. I mean, they're going to still charge you for parking, but you park, if you got an EV, you charge up for free while you're gone, so you're all, charged up when you leave. But yeah, port parking space, and the best part about it was right across the street from Terminal 1. We could actually see the Celebrity Equinox from the parking.
You get to the cruise port. How was embarkation, and how long did it take you to get from the ship or from the curb to the ship?
Doug, you and I have been doing this a long time. Back in the day before COVID, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. They have got this down to a science. I mean, number one, you got the app, you take your picture, you plug in all your stuff. Yeah, we got off the shuttle, we go in, there's like nobody there. And our boarding time was 12:30. We actually didn't get to Terminal 1 till 12:45. Nobody was in there. We go up the escalator. I'm flabbergasted that no one is in the terminal. Here's a super secret tip. You can use your app, right? Mm-hmm. And show them the thing, the barcode, so they check you in. I always print out my boarding pass because it just makes it easy in case there's a tech issue. So I print out, and the girl was like, "Oh, thank you for printing it out." And I know here in Jacksport, they really love when you print it out. But anyway, so she scanned that, and we didn't even have to go to a desk to check in. Our passports are already in. And then we just walked down the ship. I mean, it was like 6 minutes from getting out of the shuttle to actually getting on board the ship.
I know we spoke about Celebrity Reflection, I think, last time. Right. So all these classes of ships are pretty much the same. But what were your first impressions walking on board Celebrity Equinox?
Well, it's kind of like coming home, Doug. I mean, you and I sailed on Solstice back, 2008, 2009. So when you go back to a regular ship that you're used to, it's just like great. But walk on board, we're greeted. There's a chef there with a big spoon. And the thing is, and here's another tip too, on the app, you click on the safety button, it will tell you precisely where your muster station is, because I'm kind of ADD, I'm kind of hyper until I get settled. And I wanted to, since we were down on that lower deck, deck 5, we saw that the muster station was in that forward theater. Mm-hmm. So I said, come on, Marty, let's go. We check into the muster station, a minute. I mean, you remember back in the day when you have to stand up on the deck by the lifeboats, mm-hmm. and you're like 10 people deep and you always had to wait an hour. But I mean, we go there, the guy scans our things. Okay, off to the races. Then, of course, we went to the room, because I know what you're going to ask me, was the room ready? Mm-hmm. Yes, the room was ready. The cabin was ready. And we were able to unpack, kind of relax. And it was just that first day, Doug, for embarkation, if it goes great, it really sets the tone for the whole cruise.
Okay, so your room was ready. What kind of cabin did you book, and how was it through the 7 nights?
Well, we had an inside cabin, and you know this and I know this. Once you're in a suite, and I've been in a suite, or once you're in a balcony, it's kind of like first class. It's always hard to go back to 34C, right? So it was an inside cabin. And this one I want to say about this too. It was a maze because you get out of the elevator, you hung a right. I picked a clock up on the wall to kind of remind me, which way to turn when I get off the elevator. So pick a landmark so you know. We hung a right, and then we're walking down the hallway, and then there was like another hallway to the right. So you had to take this kind of a maze to get to cabin 8157, interior cabin. And I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be small. My wife's going to be upset. It was a good sized cabin. And of course, on solstice, they have those enclosure, those capsule showers, which really makes it bigger, and so that was good. Now it is old school where you have that old school dial to turn left and right to go from hot to cold. You don't have the unit where you put your card key in to turn the lights on and off, and there's not all that many ports. So just keep in mind, this is an older class ship, and definitely have your chargers with you.
You unpack, you head up to eat at the Lido Market, or what is it called, the Ocean Cafe?
The Ocean View Cafe.
Yeah, how was that?
It's very good. It's very well laid out. And the ship was pretty full, so I mean, at certain times you could feel it, but of course you have that mast grill higher up, like on deck 14 or 15, and you can get a burger or a hot dog and fries, and that's a great place to go also. But that Ocean View Cafe was very nice. I mean, a lot of variety, and of course you can go aft all the way back and sit out al fresco, and you're kind of away from feeling like you're inside.
Now, you said a bit crowded, so I want to elaborate on that. Like, when you say a bit crowded, were you able to find a table, or did you have to go outside and find one, like by the pool or upstairs one?
That's a good question. We could find a table. There was a place, but you'd have to take a minute and kind of look because, right there real close to the food, everybody wants to sit as close as possible. So we did have to maybe walk a little further aft or a little to the side to find a table. But yeah, and sometimes you had to sit at a table before maybe 2 other people. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Scott. And so it worked out.
And was it a pretty fast turn, though? Like, when somebody got up, were they cleaning them off pretty quickly? Because sometimes that's an issue, too, where you walk into just a sea of dirty tables, and you're at a point sometimes and you're like, I don't care. I just want to eat. I'll just move this crap over.
They did a great job. And, Doug, you reported on this, that Celebrity Equinox in 2024 made the list of the cleanest cruise ships. And so that was kind of a nice thing, too. And talking about, like, the tables and the food and so forth, this is another super secret tip, is that you can carry on soda and bottled water. So, we did not buy the drink package. So I actually have a YouTube video about it, about strapping that Dr. Pepper on top of my carry-on and just, with a bungee cord, made it so much easier to carry. And of course we carried like, a 12-pack of Zephyr Hills water just to save some money, because that can add up real quick. Like $4 for a bottle of bottled water, and a soda could cost like $3, and that goes quick.
Did you do any specialty dining?
It's funny, Doug, because when you and I went on Solstice back in 2008, we went to the Tuscan Grill and we ate those specialty restaurants. But just like on Celebrity Reflection a couple months ago, Marty and I were on it, the food in the main dining room was so good, we didn't go to any of the specialty restaurants, even though it was our anniversary. But like one night we had lobster. Now, they did charge you if you wanted a second lobster. And they had one of my favorite dishes, beef Wellington. So
nice.
The food was absolutely perfect. The service, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was 20. Our waiter, our assistant waiter, and of course, we got the survey and definitely mentioned those folks' names. But here's the deal, too. We booked it kind of late. So I don't want to eat dinner at 8:30, right? I mean, the food is cold. The waiters are tired. I don't eat late. Right after we did the muster drill, I did go down and talk to one of the maitre d's, very nice lady. And I said, hey, can you please put us in, earlier, like 5:30 or 6? And my wife would like a window if possible. And I was going to slip her a 50. And there's like some people behind me, and this guy says, that guy's paying her. The girl goes, no. You don't need to pay me. Click, 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 boom. Come down at 5:30. You'll have a window table every night and come at 5:30. And so, but later on, like the next day, she saw me kind of by, Marty wasn't there, no one was around. Oh, yeah, she can go ahead and give me a tip. I just didn't want to take it while that guy was behind you.
So that does still work then. Like I'm thinking like, in Vegas when you try to slip someone with your driver's license, it doesn't really work as much as it used to. So it still works on cruise ships?
Oh, 110%. Because Doug, you and I know this and the audience knows this. These people are far from family and friends. They don't have jobs in their home countries. They're on these cruise ships working long hours, nothing that you and I could do, and most people wouldn't do. Long hours, and to send that money back home to their spouses or their kids or their families. So yeah, and Marty and I always see, and let's talk about tipping real quick because Marty and I have a disagreement. Marty says, wait till the end of the cruise to tip the cabin steward because then we'll know if, they did a good job. I always tip the cabin steward the first time I see them to let them know I'm not going to stiff them at the end. Mm-hmm. So I handed my cabin steward a $50 bill. And she was very sweet. She was sweet to Marty. She goes, please let me know what you need. I said, I need an extra towel every day. I need an extra washcloth every day. And hey, they actually service the cabins in the morning and at night, twice a day on Celebrity, which is a very refreshing thing now with all the cutbacks going on. And Doug, they even put chocolate on our pillows.
Was the quality of the food the same as Reflection?
It was the same. It was definitely the same menu, of course. Mm-hmm. But the quality, I think they've got the quality down. And that was kind of cool. And before I forget, I was able to get a backstage tour, behind the scenes tour, if you will. And to go on the bridge, being a Navy veteran, it was cool being up there, seeing the recycling area. They talked about, their environmental impact and how important the environment is to them, the laundry room, and especially engineering. I thought that was if you have that opportunity to take that behind the scenes tour, yes, it costs extra, but it's definitely worth it, especially if you want to learn the workings. Now, here's the deal. They will not let you take pictures, but at the very end up on the bridge, that bridge wing console, an official ship photographer took a picture of me, standing there with those controls, and they gave me a picture for free, which really meant a lot to me.
I want to talk about the entertainment, but I remember our last interview, you were sitting at the martini bar there in the atrium and the music was overpowering. So has that changed? Was it better?
110% better. And I think Celebrity Corporate heard your production on that, your show on that, because I did mention that when you walk out of that Silhouette dining room or, the Opus dining room on Reflection, that lobby right there, man, on Reflection, it was blasting. And I wear hearing aids. And it was so loud. So I put that in my comments. I mentioned it on my blog. We mentioned it here on Cruise Radio that it was just overpowering. And when we came out of the Silhouette dining room, the level was absolutely perfect. And so thank you, Celebrity Equinox, and thank you, Celebrity Corporate, because it was, now you could really enjoy it. The ABBA sing-along, and Patrick, the cruise director, was he was present, he was available, he was approachable. An amazing guy out there dancing with people. And when I met him up at the, I'm a Captain's Club member. So, meeting him and the captain and everybody, the chief of security, I had a nice talk with those guys, talking about security issues. But, the entertainment was great. Now, the only show, and they had a comedian on there. I stuck my head in there for a minute and walked out. But they have a production show called Topper. And so I went to that. I kind of wanted to hear it. And in the first 15 minutes, they had a technical difficulty and all the performers scampered off stage. So I left. But one of my friends, he and his wife who sat next to us every night, he was a 777 pilot.
Oh, wow.
And what a cool guy he was. Just the nicest guy in the world. We really got along well. He had said, some of the shows were really good, but the entertainment is top notch on Celebrity.
Did you spend any time out on the lawn club?
It's funny you say that because whoever came up with the glass blowing thing, I just don't know. You got the big TV up there. Yeah, you got croquet and you got mini golf and stuff like that. But it was a little windy. We were gone, January 4th through the 11th. And Doug, you back here in Jacksonville, I know we're freezing. But down there it was 70-ish, 80-ish. But when you're out to sea and that wind's blowing, you can't be up there too long. I really think they could do better not having that glass blowing thing. But yeah, the lawn club is nice. You can buy a recliner or an area, an enclosed area where you can relax for the day, make some extra. They make extra money on that. But it's a nice area just to be out there and to enjoy the sea air.
Let's talk about the sea days. You said it was a pretty full ship. So how were the sea days as far as crowds and congestion?
It was actually fine, the crowd and congestion, getting through the hallways and, you're going up there by the spa. Oh, and the spa's off the chain. You can pay extra for that thermal, but you can still use the sauna for free up there in the men's area. And that's one of my other tips too. If you're big boned and your shower in your cabin is too small, you can go up there to the gentlemen's or the ladies' changing rooms, and they have bigger, more open showers if you don't, mind, just your privacy. And they did have a steam room there that was kind of nice. But yeah, the crowds getting around. The thing is that, the congestion was fine. There was a group, Doug, of 100 people. They were all wearing these name tags like a shag dancing group. So there's they were very nice people. But yeah, getting around the ship was fine. Sea days are fine. And I'll tell you, the number one place I go is the solarium. Marty and I love to go there. And they do have little signs on the chairs there and on those round chairs, that if you leave your stuff there for longer than 30 minutes, someone is going to take your stuff away, because we all know about deck chair hogs. And so the solarium was my number one place on sea days to kind of hang out and relax.
And then, just to be clear, Celebrity, no smoking in the casinos, correct?
100%. No smoking, which is kind of nice when you walk by there. You're not smelling that. And thank you, Celebrity.
Let's talk about your ports of call on this 7-nighter. Now, you leave Port Canaveral. What was your first port?
Puerto Plata. And Doug, you and I have talked about this before. We've both been to Amber Cove in the Dominican Republic, more than one time. Amber Cove is actually great. There was a guy in Amber Cove who was at like one of the bars. His name was Jacksonville. It's like, Jacksonville, where'd you get that name? He goes, I just put it on there. But Puerto Plata is there in the Dominican Republic. And I know what you're going to say. Oh, Haiti is close. Oh my gosh. It's a very nice, it's the first time I was there. You walk off, there are a ton of restaurants that you pay, have to pay out of pocket. There are a ton of bars. There's a free swimming pool, just like you would have like at Amber Cove or whatever. And there's a lazy river, and that was free too. Now, it was a little chilly that day, but there were still a lot of families and people in the lazy river and in the pool. But I mean, it's like a 15, 20-minute walk around. And it's secure, kind of like Roatan, right, where it's secure. So it's a nice area. But again, bring some money with you, because if you want to buy souvenirs, which I did, or if you want to buy food or drink, it's a great cruise port. Absolutely. And there was another ship in port too, so it really didn't feel crowded.
Were you the only ship in port that day?
No, there was another ship. I think it was an NCL ship.
So for the people listening, this is not the same as Amber Cove. And also, if you were to compare the two, what would you say? Because it sounds like, well, Amber Cove is a Carnival Corporation built port, but it seems like that this Puerto Plata port is more of a local agreement and not just with one cruise line.
You're precisely right, but it's Amber Cove on steroids. I mean, Amber Cove, when you walk in, is kind of there's not, from the last time I was there several years ago, not a whole lot of shops. I mean, there's got to be like 20 gift shops. There's got to be like 10 restaurants. There's got to be like 10 or 15 bars. So, when you get off in Puerto Plata, have your walking shoes on, because when you go there, it's like overload. I mean, there's so many things, and then, you could go, like a little 5 or 7 minute walk down the path, and that's where the lazy river is, and that's where the big swimming pool is.
And then after Puerto Plata, where'd you go?
San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I know you're going to laugh at me on this one. Marty and I have been to San Juan probably 10 times. And so we've walked to the fort, we took the tour, we fed the birds, we walked the streets, all that stuff. So as I mentioned earlier, we brought some bottled water on. And so we walked across the street from the cruise port to the Walgreens to buy more bottled water. And then we walked right back on the ship and hung out in the solarium. So sorry, San Juan. And thank goodness you got your lights back on. I mean, right before we left, San Juan was dark, but the lights were on, and I promise next time San Juan will walk around more.
Did you find that a lot of people did get off the ship where the ship was fairly empty?
Absolutely. That's the one thing where, we talk about Freeport all the time, and yes, there's stuff to do in Freeport, but, in certain ports of call, especially if you've cruised as much as Doug and I and other people have, you just stay on the ship. And here's another secret. The spa treatments like massages and all that stuff are discounted on port days, because the cruise lines know, those accountants know on the 10th floor up in Miami, that if you give them a discount on those port days, that maybe people will go to spa and get their hair and nails and stuff done. So I don't want to say it was strategic for us to stay on the ship. It was just that, hey, get the bottled water, bring it back on, and chill out.
And some people do like the ship more than the ports of call. I mean, that's fair too. It's your vacation. You do whatever you want to do.
You make a very good point because, and I was actually talking to one of my colleagues over there at Celebrity yesterday. The ships have become the destination. And I'm not just talking about Icon or Mardi Gras or all these ships, but when you go, then you're not spending money, on other places. But that's where the cruise lines are brilliant. I mean, you got Royal Caribbean doing Perfect Day at Coco Cay, where they're going to be able to capture the money if they're spending extra stuff like for that big thing, the balloon that flies up in the air, or paying for the extra experiences. And of course, now with Mexico, and that, I cannot wait for your reporting on that. This $42 per person extra, how that's going to go in a couple months. But the fact of the matter is that it is your vacation. You can be as sedentary or as being out there hiking and all that stuff as you want to.
After San Juan with St. Kitts, how was your day there?
Oh, St. Kitts, Doug. I mean, this is like the third time Marty and I had been to St. Kitts. And for transparency, Shore Excursion Group hooked us up with a free tour for Marty and I all around the island. It was like a 5-hour tour, no lunch. Marty wasn't happy about it. Are we going to have lunch? No, honey, lunch isn't included, but we can get lunch extra. And I'm always kind of weary about eating the local food. I'm just kind of weird on that. I mean, but the fact of the matter is we got off the ship like, 9 o'clock. And there was like a bunch of people, and they kind of split us up depending on which tour we were on. But we went to that fort up on the top, and we went all around. We saw some of the culture and everything. And that's what Marty's starting to get into now, is culture, instead of just like, we both have been to Bimini. And I just love going over to that beach club, especially when I'm on Virgin Voyages, because you're not worrying if you got to pay extra or something. Like when you're on Carnival, unless you buy a package, at Bimini, it's going to cost you more, but like Virgin Voyages, you're covered. But the point I'm trying to say is like, with St. Kitts, Marty wanted to do an excursion. And like I said, we had a great time, learned a lot. Our tour guide was very knowledgeable. And Doug, the one thing about St. Kitts, I've said this before, when I got off the ship years ago, I think it was on Holland America cruise, there's a guy standing there with a monkey, right? Mm-hmm. And the guy says, hey, hand me your phone and $20. I'll take a picture of the monkey with him on your shoulder. It's like, oh, no, thanks. I'm not going to give you my phone and $20. I said, but what's your monkey's name? And the guy walked away, and I said, man, what's your monkey's name? And he wouldn't tell me. Well, when I saw it was a different guy in St. Kitts, I said, hey, man, I got to tell a story about one of your buddies. He goes, yeah, I know that guy who you're talking about. That's horrible. I said, well, I understand you're trying to make some money. But the thing is with St. Kitts and like all these southern islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, Martinique, St. Bart's, there's a certain time of the season where cruise ships are coming in, and that's where they're making their money. And then there's other parts of the year that maybe, it's kind of like Alaska. There's certain times, and then there's not certain times where cruise ships are coming in. But the fact of the matter is St. Kitts was absolutely amazing, and it's so much better because most people, you get on a Bahamas cruise or whatever, but hitting St. Kitts and those other islands really made it special.
Then you had 2 sea days heading back to Port Canaveral. How were those returning?
For the most, Doug, for the most part, they were good, except like the night before we came back, it's like 2 a.m. Bang, bang, bang. It's like, what is that? Because it was a little rocky coming back. So I get up, and the first thing you want to check are those hangers in your closet. Because if those aren't right, they can be banging up and down. That's a super secret tip. So I looked at those, and of course now Marty wakes up. It's the capsule shower door. Go look at that. And so I go over there, and it's not that capsule shower door. I walk on the hall, and yes, I have my pajamas on. Inside, okay, just imagine a cruise hallway, and you have those panels. And inside one of those panels, bang, bang, bang. So I call the front desk, hey, can you please send somebody up? So they send somebody up, and I said, listen, there's a loud banging. It's behind this panel in the hallway. Well, can I come in your cabin and hear inside? Come on in. So he comes in, and then he heard the bang, bang, and he goes in the hallway. He opens up a panel. There's like an 8-inch by 8-inch by 8-inch square metal piece, like a loose metal square. And it was banging up inside, back and forth on the pipes. And he pulls it out. Oh, sorry, Mr. Lara. I said, okay, thanks. No problem. I'm glad I discovered it. But again, if you ever have that in your cabin, definitely call the front desk and they'll help you try to alleviate that.
Couple of questions here before we wrap. Did you get the internet package at all?
Regarding the internet package, again, transparency, GigSky, they're a eSIM company. They hooked me up with a 10 gig of internet, which actually works on the ship very well. I think it's even faster than the ship's internet that you would buy. And then, of course, with that eSIM through GigSky, I was able to use it when walking around St. Kitts, around San Juan, and Puerto Plata, where I was able to upload YouTube videos and stuff. So I did not buy the internet package from the ship.
How integrated is the app throughout your experience?
Oh my gosh, 100%. And that's where I talk about technology. You got to be tech savvy. And when you have that app, you can see what shows are going on, and you can even plug in check. So you have a calendar so you don't forget, to go to that Topper show, or to, go to the ABBA sing along, or all the different, tons of activities that are available. It just depends on if you want to go or not. They had adult coloring. I said, Marty, you want to go to the adult coloring thing? No, I don't want to do that. But the app is totally integrated. It works great. And I definitely recommend people use it.
All right. You're back in Port Canaveral. How was the debark process and getting back to your car?
I'll tell you, Doug, great question. And we were on deck 8. And because I was traveling with Marty, it wasn't like if you and I were going with just a backpack. We had 2 suitcases that we had to leave out in front of the door the night before. And so it was weird because you could have tag 1 through 50, right? Well, our cabin tag number, our luggage tag number was 8. And it's whoa, we're going to be off the ship pretty quick. And so we stuck our bags out there, and, we had breakfast. Again, do it in the main dining room. It's much more relaxed. It's not so crowded unless you got to catch a plane at 8 in the morning or something, and, go to the Lido deck, grab something, and then wait for them to do it. Oh, I will say we did get in late because there was a medical emergency on another cruise ship. Mm-hmm. So we had to sit out an hour before we came in, and I can only imagine those people trying to fly back to Pennsylvania or Chicago, tapping their foot, waiting, oh my gosh, I got a plane that leaves, soon. But we got in a little bit late. And then they called our cabin, our tag number. We were off the ship very quickly. And then I think I told you a story about Icon when we went on that media trip. Marty and I walked by the porters with the bags. And I don't know if I was spacing out or Marty was talking to me. We get to the facial recognition thing on Icon, and it's oh my gosh, we forgot our bags. And we had to wait outside the cruise port for 2 hours till everybody got off the ship before we could get our bags. But I learned that lesson. And so we're walking off, and it was very clear. You could see, the big signs, 1 through 32 or whatever. And I immediately grabbed a porter. I said, hey, could you give us a hand? Handed the guy a $20 bill. And he helped us with the bags, was able to go right to a front of a certain line. We did the facial recognition. We were off the ship. And then we just walked a little way, and then boom, there was the port parking space van. We got on the van, took us back to the car, and it was seamless, totally seamless.
Do you have any first-time tips to offer anyone sailing on Celebrity Equinox?
Well, my first-time tip, for Celebrity, if you are taking kids, and there aren't a lot of kids on there, but there were some, my number one thing is, set the rules for your kids. Don't take a vacation from being a parent. Let your kids know not to be running and hitting all the buttons and in the elevator, and to be respectful. So that's, I think, my number one tip, because a lot of people will say, well, it's the drunk 18-year-olds or 21-year-olds that are the real menace. I think when you and I have seen this, Doug, we've sailed on Carnival and other cruise ships when kids are running wild. So I always recommend, parents just talk to your kids, and it'll make everybody's vacation a whole lot better.
I'm trying to think, does this class of ship have the big grand staircase that comes down into the atrium?
Yes, well, it has a staircase. Yes, it does. It has a nice staircase, right? Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Right.
Looking back, what was your biggest highlight of this cruise?
Oh my gosh. It's just our 41st wedding anniversary. And, they came out and they sang to us. They had a banner in our room, happy anniversary. So they really made that anniversary special. And I have to say, if you're doing an anniversary, doing a divorce, doing whatever, kind of a special, activity or a special whatever it is. Going on a cruise and just telling your travel agent you're having a special occasion, and then definitely double check with the front desk and say, hey, just want to make sure, that it's going to be covered. I think that's important, because that's what really gives you those memories. And it was very fun, and I really appreciated it.
Final thoughts of Celebrity Equinox.
I want to say thank you to Celebrity for having a Solstice class ship in Port Canaveral. Please keep a ship in Port Canaveral. We know you can't come to Jacksonville because of the bridge. I get it. But if you were to ask me, Scott, would you go back on Celebrity Equinox tomorrow? Absolutely. Your reflection, it wasn't a perfect cruise. Maybe they'll do better. But Celebrity is a great brand, especially for my demographic. I mean, I'm 63. My wife is a couple of years older. But Celebrity is the perfect demographic for me. Fewer kids, great activities, amazing food, amazing service. I have to say, Celebrity is my new favorite cruise line.
Well, it sounded like a great cruise. And again, happy anniversary, man. Where can we find your videos online?
Go to thecruisegenius.com and you can just type in Scott Lara, Lara, in my YouTube channel for all my videos.
We'll also link it up. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you.
Just back from a cruise? Let's talk about it. Email Doug at cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy. Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,